Okay, a new week. Last night or yesterday, you were to do 1 through 4. So let's go over those and see how you did. All right, number 1, we have an equation, and you just have to solve for x. Okay, so first thing we need to do, get rid of the parentheses. So we can do that by using our distributive property, 8 times 2x and 8 times negative 2. And that will give us 8 times 2 is 16. And 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. And that equals 48. Then we will want to get rid of the negative 16. So we're going to add 16. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So that cancels out, and we're left with 16x on the left. And 8 plus 6 is 14. Regroup my 1, 5, 6. 64. Now we need to get rid of the 16, so we'll divide by 16 both sides. Gets rid of the 16 on this side and leaves us with x. And 16 will go into 64 4 times, and our answer is 4. For number 2, we have 2 graphs and 1 equation. And I'm going to go ahead and write the rate of change or the slope for my equation since it is the easiest. And I'm going to label it with m because in the equation y equals mx plus b, m is always our slope, so my m is 2. Now let's find it for a. I'm going to go from one point to another. So my rise over my run is going to give me a slope or an m of 1, 2, 3 over 1. So for A, my m is 3. And for B, my m, I'm going to go from this dot to this one, is 1 over 2. So it's 1/2. So which number is bigger? 3, 1/2, or 2? And it is 3. So A is my answer. Number 3 gives me a graph, and I need to select which equation matches the graph. So I'm going to just take my graph and write my equation. I need to know my m. I need to know my b. B is the easiest to find because I'm looking only on the y-axis, and I see it crosses at negative 2. Now, we try to get away with the least amount of work as possible. If we can answer it with that, let's do it. So let's look down here. Do any of these equations have a negative 2 for the b? Yes, C. So C is my answer. Number 4 says 1 micrometer is 0.000001 of a meter. What is the number in scientific notation? I need that decimal to be on this side of the 1, so I'm going to move it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gives me just a 1 times 10. Now I moved my number to the right, my decimal to the right, because this was a very, very small number, and I made it bigger to a 1. So when I do my exponent, I count my places, and I'm going to put a negative exponent. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places that I moved it. And so 1 or 1.0 is my answer with times 10 to the negative 6. These aren't too bad this week, so give them your best shot. Okay, so for numbers 5 through 8, number 5, we have a graph, and it asks what is the rate of growth in inches per year. So we're looking at our rate of change again, or our slope. So I can do my rise over run, and I see my rise is changing from 10 to 20, so that's a difference of 10. And my run is changing from 2 to 4, which is a difference of 2. So my rise goes on top, rise over run. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. My answer is C. For number 6, Ella sells cell phones. She makes $200 a week plus $50 per phone she sells. I went ahead and labeled my 200 as my B because that is a one-time amount she makes each week. It's the constant. It doesn't change. And then it says plus she makes $50 per phone. So that's my change. It's changing by the amount of number of phones that she sells. So that's my M. It tells me that Y is the total amount that Ella makes in a week. So that's where my Y comes as my total, and X is the number of cell phones. Which equation matches the linear function? Well, if I said my M was 50, then I plug that in for my M. So I have 50X, and if my B is 200, I plug that in, and my answer will be A. For number 7, we have a table or a chart here, and it asks us if this function is linear, nonlinear, or both. Well, it cannot be linear and nonlinear, and both all at the same time. So we're going to look at our rate of change. So we're going to see, how does it change from 5 to 9? Well, that's a difference of 4. How does it change from 4 to 13? That's also 4. And from 13 to 17 is also 4. And then, of course, we see 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all changing by 1. So our rate of change is 4 over 1. If we have a constant rate of change, the pattern, it's changing by the same amount each time, then we know we have a linear function. For number 8, Y equals negative 4X. Which ordered pair is one possible solution to the equation? So all I need to do is plug in my X and my Y values to see if they equal. So if I plugged in this one, negative 4 times 1, of course, is negative 4. And 4 does not equal negative 4. So I can rule that one out. If I plug in 1 again, 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. And negative 4 on this side. Does negative 4 equal negative 4? Yes. So I'm going to keep that one in mind, and I'm going to go to the next one. If I plug in negative 4 times negative 4, that's going to give me a positive 16. And positive 16 does not equal, whoops, and if I plug in the C correctly, it would be 1 there it says. 1, my Y. Then that does not equal. So the only one that equaled was B. Okay, number 9. Number 9 says, this graph represents the height of water in a bathtub over time. Which part of the graph represents water being put into the tub? So this is a lot like the question we had last week, where we were looking at which part represented someone taking a bath. But this one is water being put into the tub. So if we remember, we talked about this, the water level increasing here. That's when the water's being put into the tub. So that would be A. For number 10, which relation is also a function? So for a function, we're looking to see, does every x value have exactly one y value? Well, if we look at A, the x value 5 has a y value of 8, but then the x value 5 also has a y value of 9, and we know that that can't happen, so we will rule out A. So we're basically looking, do any of our x's repeat? So 5, 7, 8, 10. None of those repeat, so that one could be it. Let's go down here. 5, 7, 7. Oh, the 7 repeats. 7 can't have a value of 9 and a value of 5, so that one rules out. And the answer is B. Number 11 has a triangle, PUT. It is equal to triangle MAN. So the important thing here is to match up our angles. So we know that A is the right angle, so A matches U. So if we took this shape and we turned it so that A matched U, that would put P matching M, and we see that, P and M, and N matching T, N and T. So it wants to know the angle measure of M. Well, if M matches P and we know P is 50, then M is also 50. Number 12 says, what type of transformation is shown? We see that the figure appears to be the exact same size. So did it flip? No, because then the BD would be close to the Y. So it's not a flip or reflection. Did it rotate? Did it turn? If it had rotated from here to, here's the prime shape, from here to here, then the C would have been up here. So it's not a rotation. Let's see if it could have slid or translated. Yes, the C matches up, the A, the B, and the D. It is a translation. Okay, now we're going to look at numbers 13 through 16 for this week. Number 13, we have angles. So let's do a quick review on our angle measures. If I'm looking at these angles here, I'm going to go ahead and find angles that I know will equal 100 degrees. I know that vertical angles, angles that are diagonally across like that, are the same. So 100, 100, 70, 70. And then I know that two angles that form a half circle would equal 180. And I know 100 plus 80 would equal 180. So I'm able to figure those out. And 70 plus 110 equals 180, so I'm able to figure that out. Now, that didn't really help me yet till I get down here. I'm looking for the value of angle X. And I see that I have 80 here. I can do this a couple ways. One is I see that this, on my transversal here, do you see that transversal? I know that this angle is corresponding with this angle, these two angles together. So I could set that to 110. So I could say 80 plus X equals 110. Also, I know that this angle and this angle are corresponding. So this angle is going to be 70. And all three of those would equal 180. So I could set it to equal 180. Either way, it's going to give me the same answer. 80 plus 30 equals 110. 70 plus 30 is 100, plus 80 is 180. So either way, I get 30. For number 14, we're dealing with the transformation of translating. Translating, we see that SL reminds us that we're going to slide that figure. Okay, and we would slide the whole figure, but all it's going to ask us for is the coordinates for point A. So why don't we just slide A? Where are we going to slide it? 3 units down. So I'm going to take my A and we'll slide it 3 units down. 1, 2, 3. This is going to be my A prime. What are the coordinates of A prime? Well, we always put our X first, so we would have to go over 1. So my X would be 1, and then I'm going to go down 1, so my Y would be a -1. Now I'm looking to see which letter has those coordinates, and it is B. For number 15, I see that Tom is building a fence, and he needs to make a support between the 2 poles. How long should the support be? It tells us that these 2, the length from this pole to this one is 6 feet, and the height here is 2 feet, and it wants the support in between. So we're going to use Pythagoras theorem, and we're going to do 2 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times 6 is 36. 4 plus 36 is 40. And to get rid of the square, I need to take the square root. So square root of 40 is my answer. For number 16, which of the following fractions does not terminate as a decimal? Okay, so I want to find the decimal. In other words, I'm going to do the division. 1 divided by 2 equals decimal 5. 4 divided by 5, and I could do that. 4 divided by 5, I would put my decimal. 5 will go into 40 8 times, and 8 times 5 is 40, so I have decimal 8. Now, looks like I'm going to pick this out of process of elimination, but let's just try 4 divided by 7. So I put my decimal. 7 will go into 40 5 times, which is 35. Bring down, subtract, I get 5. Bring down another 0. I have 50. 7 will go into 57 times, which is 49. What do we see happening? It is not ending. So it says, which of the following fractions does not terminate? We're going to assume it is C because the other 2 did.